Welcome back, Shinobi. Get comfortable, settle into your bed, and prepare yourself for a journey through one of the most mind-bending alternate timelines in the Naruto universe. Tonight, we're exploring a reality where everything changes, where the balance of power shifts so dramatically that the very foundations of the shinobi world tremble. This is a story about destiny rewritten, about a young boy with whisker marks who awakens eyes that have toppled gods and reshaped nations. Before we dive into this epic tale, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Seriously, if you love falling asleep to deep Naruto lore and wild what-if scenarios, you're going to want to be here for every upload. We've got so many incredible stories planned, and I don't want you to miss a single one. Subscribing takes 2 seconds, and it helps this channel grow so we can bring you even more content. All right, you comfortable? Good. Now, before we get too deep into the theories and alternate timelines, drop a comment and let me know who your favorite character is. I'm genuinely curious to see if we've got Team Naruto, Team Sasuke, or maybe some Rock Lee enthusiasts in here. Now, let's begin. Imagine the Valley of the End. Naruto and Sasuke stand opposite each other, rain pouring down, lightning crackling across the darkened sky. This is the moment that defines everything, the culmination of their rivalry, their brotherhood, their pain. In our timeline, this battle ends with both boys broken, with Sasuke leaving the village and Naruto failing to bring him back. But what if something different happened? What if, in that moment of absolute desperation, when Naruto pushed every ounce of Kurama's chakra through his body, when he reached beyond his limits, when his very DNA screamed for power, something awakened? What if the legendary Rinnegan, the eyes of the Sage of Six Paths himself, manifested in that 12-year-old boy? The Rinnegan isn't just any Jujutsu. We're talking about the pinnacle of ocular jutsu, the evolution beyond even the Sharingan and Byakugan. These are the eyes that grant the user mastery over all 5 nature transformations, the ability to see chakra in its purest form, and access to techniques that border on divine intervention. The Rinnegan allowed Nagato to level entire villages, to bring people back from death itself, to become a god among men. And now we're placing that power in the hands of Naruto Uzumaki, the most unpredictable ninja in Konoha, at the tender age of 12. The implications are staggering. Let's start at the beginning. The Valley of the End battle is reaching its climax. Naruto, covered in the Kyuubi's red chakra, forms the Rasengan. Sasuke, his body overtaken by the curse mark, charges the Chidori. They rush toward each other, 2 forces of nature on a collision course. But in this timeline, something happens inside Naruto's body. The Uzumaki bloodline, that ancient lineage connected to the Sage of Six Paths through the Senju clan, resonates with the massive surge of Kurama's chakra. Naruto's Asura chakra, dormant and unrecognized, suddenly flares to life. The combination is explosive. As the Rasengan and Chidori connect, as that massive sphere of energy erupts around them, Naruto feels something tear inside his skull. It's not pain exactly, more like reality itself is being rewritten behind his eyes. When the dust settles, when Kakashi and Pakun finally reach the valley, they find both boys unconscious. But Naruto is different. His eyes, still closed, seem to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Kakashi, being the genius he is, immediately recognizes something is wrong. He rushes Naruto back to the village, where Tsunade performs emergency medical procedures. When Naruto finally wakes up, 3 days later, he opens his eyes, and the entire room goes silent. Gone are the brilliant blue eyes that sparkled with determination and mischief. In their place are the rippled purple patterns of the Rinnegan, ancient and terrible, and beautiful all at once. Tsunade nearly has a heart attack. Lady Katsuya, summoned immediately for consultation, confirms what everyone fears and hopes at the same time. These are genuine Rinnegan eyes, not some trick or genjutsu. But how? The last known wielder was some mysterious figure controlling Akatsuki from the shadows. Before that, the Rinnegan was thought to be nothing more than a legend, a myth about the Sage of Six Paths. Yet here is Naruto Uzumaki, the village's Jinchuriki, the fourth Hokage's son, bearing eyes that haven't been seen in generations. The immediate aftermath is chaotic. The village elders demand Naruto be placed under constant supervision. Danzo, that manipulative old warhawk, begins scheming immediately about how to use this development for his own purposes. But Tsunade shuts them all down. She places Naruto under her direct protection and begins the difficult process of helping him understand what's happened. Because Naruto himself is terrified, he can see things now that he couldn't before. Chakra isn't just a blue glow anymore. It's a complex network of energy flowing through every living thing. He can see the Kyuubi's chakra coiled within him, like a massive beast made of pure malevolent fire. He can see the chakra pathways in everyone around him with perfect clarity. The world has become overwhelming. Jiraiya returns to the village the moment he hears the news. The legendary Sannin takes one look at his godson's new eyes and immediately begins researching. He tears through every scroll, every ancient text, every forbidden archive he can access. What he discovers changes everything. The Rinnegan doesn't just appear randomly. It requires specific conditions. A combination of Senju and Uchiha chakra, the bloodlines of Asura and Indra. But Naruto is an Uzumaki, descended from the Senju, and he's the current reincarnation of Asura himself. The missing piece was Indra's chakra. Jiraiya theorizes that during the clash with Sasuke, the current Indra reincarnate, their chakras mixed in that moment of pure destructive energy. Sasuke's Chidori, charged with his Sharingan-enhanced chakra, literally penetrated Naruto's Rasengan and mingled with his life force. The result was an accidental recreation of the conditions that birthed the Rinnegan. But here's where it gets really interesting. Naruto isn't just any Rinnegan user. He's also a Jinchuriki, a perfect one at that, with compatibility to Kurama that would eventually surpass even his mother's. The combination of Rinnegan and Biju chakra creates something unprecedented. When Naruto accidentally activates one of the Rinnegan's abilities for the first time, the Deva Path, he doesn't just push objects away with Shinra Tensei. The technique is supercharged with Kurama's chakra, turning a simple repulsion into a devastating shockwave that levels an entire training ground. Tsunade realizes immediately that they need to train Naruto in isolation before he accidentally destroys the village. They take him to Mount Myoboku. The toads, ancient and wise, are stunned by what they see. The great toad sage, that ancient prophet who foresaw so much, wakes from his perpetual slumber to meet Naruto. He looks at the boy with those rippled purple eyes and begins to laugh, a deep croaking sound that echoes through the mountain. This was not in his prophecy, not exactly, but it's close enough. The child of prophecy was meant to bring either peace or destruction to the world. With the Rinnegan, Naruto now has the power to do both on a scale previously unimaginable. Training begins immediately, and it's brutal. Naruto has to learn to control 6 separate ability paths, each one complex enough to take years to master. The Deva path grants him gravitational manipulation, the ability to attract and repel. The Asura path transforms his body into a living weapon, mechanical and deadly. The human path can rip souls from bodies and read minds. The animal path allows him to summon creatures without contracts, powerful beings from the outer reaches. The Preta path absorbs chakra and nullifies ninjutsu. And the Naraka path grants access to the king of hell, capable of interrogation and restoration. On top of all this, there's the outer path, which grants control over life and death itself, the ability to revive the dead and bind souls. But Naruto is still Naruto. He struggles with the more violent abilities, particularly the human path. The idea of ripping someone's soul out makes him physically ill. Fukasaku, the Elder Toad, explains that the Rinnegan doesn't make you use its abilities cruelly. Nagato, the previous user, chose violence and pain. Naruto can choose differently. The human path can read memories and intentions without killing. The Naraka path can heal and restore, not just interrogate and punish. Every ability has a dual nature, and it's up to the user to decide how they wield that power. During this training period, which lasts nearly a year, word spreads through the shinobi world. Naruto Uzumaki, Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, has awakened the Rinnegan. The reaction is immediate and varied. Some villages see it as a threat, a sign that Konoha has become too powerful. Others see opportunity, potential alliances with the wielder of legendary eyes. And Akatsuki sees a catastrophic complication in their plans. Nagato, calling himself Pain, learns that someone else bears his eye's power. His reaction is complex, a mixture of curiosity, anger, and something like kinship. He decides that he must meet this other Rinnegan user, must test whether Naruto is worthy of such power. Meanwhile, Sasuke hears the news in Orochimaru's hideout. His reaction is explosive. The gap between him and Naruto was supposed to close with his Sharingan evolution and curse mark power. Instead, it's widened into an unbridgeable chasm. The Rinnegan is the evolution of the Sharingan, the pinnacle that even Itachi never reached. And Naruto, the dead last. The idiot who could barely perform a basic clone jutsu now possesses it. The jealousy and rage fuel Sasuke's training to new heights. He pushes himself relentlessly, determined to awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan, and then somehow push beyond even that. Back in Konoha, Naruto returns after his year of training. He's different now, more mature, more controlled. The hyperactive orange-wearing Jin has been tempered into something more refined. He still smiles, still cracks jokes, but there's a weight behind his eyes now, a depth of understanding about the world and its cruelties. The Rinnegan has shown him things, memories from its previous users through some kind of genetic echo, glimpses of the Sage of Six Paths himself. Naruto understands now the cycle of hatred that Jiraiya always talked about, sees it playing out across centuries through these ancient eyes. His relationship with the Akatsuki changes dramatically. When Itachi and Kisame come for him during the search for Tsunade arc, the confrontation goes very differently. Naruto, with his Rinnegan active, sees through Itachi's genjutsu before it even fully forms. The Rinnegan grants immunity to most visual jutsu, ironic considering the Sharingan is its predecessor. Kisame, realizing the magnitude of their problem, suggests retreat. Itachi, curious, tests Naruto with Amaterasu, the black flames that burn everything. Naruto counters with the Preta path, absorbing the chakra-based flames before they can touch him. The look in Itachi's eyes shifts from dismissive to calculating. This changes everything about their organization's plans. When Pain eventually attacks Konoha, and yes, he still does in this timeline, because his motivations remain unchanged, the battle becomes something else entirely. It's not a village being decimated by an overwhelming force. It's two Rinnegan users clashing. Two different philosophies about peace made manifest through godlike power. Nagato, channeling his abilities through 6 corpse puppets, faces Naruto, who wields the Rinnegan in his own living body. The difference is significant. Naruto's abilities are stronger, more refined, because he's not splitting his attention across multiple bodies. When Pain launches Shinra Tensei to level the village, Naruto counters with his own, and the two gravitational forces clash in the middle, creating a dead zone where the laws of physics seem to break down. The fight draws every able shinobi in Konoha. They watch in awe and terror as Naruto, their Naruto, battles on equal footing with the man who destroyed their village. But Naruto isn't fighting to kill. He's fighting to understand. With each clash, he uses the human path not to rip souls, but to glimpse Pain's memories, to see the man behind the god complex. He sees Yahiko's death, sees Nagato's suffering, sees the pain that created pain, and he understands. When he finally locates Nagato's real body, hidden outside the village, he doesn't arrive with vengeance. He arrives with compassion. The conversation between Naruto and Nagato is different this time. They're not just two shinobi with different ideologies. They're two Rinnegan users, two people connected by these ancient eyes. Nagato looks at Naruto and sees what he could have been if someone had reached him sooner, if the cycle of hatred hadn't consumed him so completely. Naruto looks at Nagato and sees what he could become if he lets the power corrupt him, if he decides that force and fear are the only paths to peace. The parallel is stark and undeniable. When Naruto speaks about his ninja way, about never giving up, about finding a better answer than Pain's forced peace, Nagato actually listens. He sees the conviction backed by power equal to his own. This isn't naive optimism from a weak child. This is a genuine alternative from someone who could actually achieve it. Nagato makes a choice. He uses the outer path, not to destroy, but to restore. The Gedo art of Rinna rebirth brings back everyone who died in Pain's assault, just like in the original timeline. But Nagato doesn't die from the technique. Naruto, understanding the cost, channels his own massive chakra reserves through his Rinnegan, sharing the burden of the technique. The Nine-Tails chakra, mixed with the Rinnegan's power, allows them both to survive. Nagato, weakened but alive, entrusts his dream to Naruto. He tells him about the Moon's Eye plan, about Madara's manipulation, about Obito hiding in the shadows. He gives Naruto intelligence that changes the trajectory of the entire war. With Nagato's information, the allied shinobi forces prepared differently for the Fourth Great Ninja War. They know about Obito, about the real Madara being revived, about the Gedo statue, and the plan to cast infinite Tsukuyomi. Naruto, now recognized as the wielder of the Rinnegan and the prophesied child, becomes a central figure in the war strategy. But there's a problem. The Rinnegan makes him a target. Both Obito and Madara want his eyes. They need them to complete their plan, to achieve the perfect godlike state. Naruto has to fight not just to win, but to avoid being captured and harvested for his jujutsu. The war's dynamics shift dramatically. When Naruto faces Obito, it's not just about stopping the masked man's plan. It's about two people who've suffered tremendously, choosing different responses to that suffering. Obito, with his Mangekyo Sharingan and stolen Rinnegan, battles Naruto, who possesses both the Nine-Tails and naturally awakened Rinnegan. Their abilities counter each other in fascinating ways. Obito's Kamui, that intangibility and dimensional warping, meets Naruto's ability to summon the King of Hell and manipulate gravity. When Obito tries to phase through attacks, Naruto uses the Preta path to drain the chakra-sustaining Kamui, forcing him to materialize. When Obito launches massive attacks, Naruto repels them with Shinra Tensei or absorbs them entirely. But the real turning point comes when Madara is revived. The legendary Uchiha, reanimated with both Rinnegan restored to him, faces off against Naruto. This is the moment everyone feared. Madara Uchiha, the ghost of the Uchiha, the man who fought Hashirama to a standstill, now possesses the eyes he worked his entire life to awaken. The battlefield becomes hell itself as Madara unleashes the full power of the Rinnegan without restraint. He summons meteors from the sky, creates vast gravitational singularities, and wields all 5 nature transformations with perfect mastery. The Allied forces can barely comprehend the scale of power on display. Naruto, pushed to his absolute limit, makes a choice. He stops holding back the Nine Tails. Kurama, who's been working with Naruto this entire time, respects the kid for never abusing the Rinnegan's power to control him. The fox offers his full cooperation. What emerges is a form never seen before, a perfect fusion of Biju and Rinnegan power. Naruto's Kurama mode gains the rippled pattern of the Rinnegan, his chakra cloak shifting from pure gold to gold veined with purple. In this state, his abilities reach new heights. His Rasen Shuriken, already devastating, becomes infused with gravitational manipulation, creating attacks that don't just cut at the cellular level, but also crush space itself. The battle between Naruto and Madara is apocalyptic. Mountains are leveled, valleys are formed, and the landscape is permanently altered. Sasuke, who's joined the fight with his own awakened Rinnegan in this timeline, having pushed his Sharingan to its ultimate evolution, fights alongside Naruto. The two of them, the reincarnations of Indra and Asura, both bearing Rinnegan now, create combination attacks that defy description. When Naruto uses Chibaku Tensei to create a massive gravitational sphere, Sasuke charges it with his Amaterasu, creating a black sun that draws in and incinerates everything around it. When Madara tries to match them, he finds himself facing 2 perfected Rinnegan users, operating in complete synchronization. Here's where the timeline diverges most dramatically. With both Naruto and Sasuke bearing Rinnegan, with their bond restored through mutual understanding of the power they wield, Black Zetsu's plan fails. When Zetsu attempts to betray Madara and use him as a vessel for Kaguya, Naruto sees it coming. The Rinnegan grants him perception beyond normal sight, the ability to see chakra in its truest form. Zetsu's chakra is wrong, alien, impossibly ancient. When Zetsu makes his move, Naruto is ready. He uses the human path to literally grab Zetsu's chakra construct and rip it away from Madara. The artificial being, exposed and vulnerable, reveals the truth about Kaguya, about the infinite Tsukuyomi's real purpose, about the chakra fruit and the Otsutsuki clan. The revelation stuns everyone. Madara, realizing he's been manipulated for decades, working towards someone else's goal, experiences something he hasn't felt in years: genuine shock. Naruto, holding Zetsu's essence with his Rinnegan-enhanced grip, demands the full story. Black Zetsu, knowing he's defeated, tells them everything about Kaguya Otsutsuki, the progenitor of chakra, about her sons Hagoromo and Hamura, about the cycle of reincarnation and the true purpose behind the Moon's Eye plan. It was never about peace. It was about preparing an army of chakra-filled humans for Kaguya to consume and convert back into a chakra fruit. But Zetsu, clever and desperate, has a contingency. Before Naruto can destroy him, he triggers the accumulated chakra in the Gedo statue. Even without Madara as a vessel, even without the perfect circumstances, he forcibly summons Kaguya Otsutsuki. She emerges incomplete, weaker than she should be, but still impossibly powerful. This is the mother of chakra, the woman who enslaved humanity with infinite Tsukuyomi a millennium ago. Her appearance is preceded by a wave of oppressive chakra that makes even the tailed beasts recoil in instinctive fear. This is their creator, the source of all their power, and she has returned. The fight against Kaguya with 2 Rinnegan users on the allied side changes the battle's tempo. Naruto and Sasuke can see her dimensional shifts coming, can counter her attempts to separate them across different spaces when she transports them to her lava dimension, intending to burn them alive. Naruto uses the Praetor path to absorb the heat chakra, while Sasuke opens portals back to the main dimension. When she tries to use her all-killing ash bones, those absolute death projectiles, both of them can track them with their Rinnegan and dodge with precision. When she expands the truth-seeking balls to massive size, attempting to erase them from existence, they combine their powers to create a counter-technique that splits the spheres apart. The climax comes when Kaguya, desperate and increasingly unstable, attempts to absorb all the chakra in the dimension. She expands her influence, drawing in every scrap of energy, trying to complete her resurrection by force. But Naruto, understanding the true nature of the Rinnegan through his training and his connection to the Sage of Six Paths' residual consciousness, knows a technique that Nagato never discovered. The outer path isn't just about life and death. It's about the boundary between the physical and spiritual worlds. Naruto, combining the outer path with Kurama's chakra and sage mode, creates a seal unlike any other. It's part Uzumaki sealing jutsu, part Rinnegan technique, and part pure belief in a better way. The seal doesn't just imprison Kaguya, it separates her consciousness from her chakra. Her malevolent will, her desire to reclaim all chakra and create another fruit, is bound into a separate dimension, sealed behind barriers that would take centuries to break even for her. Her chakra, that vast well of power that birthed ninjutsu itself. Naruto, with Hagoromo's guidance appearing as a spiritual manifestation, redistributes it. Some goes to restoring the tailed beasts fully, giving them complete autonomy and power. Some goes to healing the scarred landscape. And some, inevitably, stays with Naruto and Sasuke, further enhancing their already incredible abilities. The war ends not with infinite Tsukuyomi or complete destruction, but with hard-won peace. The allied shinobi forces have seen the real enemy, understood that the conflicts between villages are meaningless in the face of true threats from beyond. Naruto, the Rinnegan-bearing Jinchuriki who saved the world, becomes a symbol of the new era. But he doesn't become Hokage immediately. He's too young, too inexperienced in politics, despite his combat prowess. Instead, he becomes something else, a guardian, a protector who operates outside the normal shinobi hierarchy. Sasuke, his partner and equal, chooses a different path. With his own Rinnegan and understanding of the world's darkness, he becomes the Shadow Hokage in truth, working to prevent threats before they emerge. The two of them, Ashura and Indra's reincarnations bearing the eyes of the sage himself, form a partnership that ensures lasting peace, not through fear, but through genuine strength and compassion. When disputes arise between villages, they mediate. When new threats emerge, they respond. They become legends in their own time, the two sages, protectors of the shinobi world. But having the Rinnegan changes Naruto in ways beyond combat power. He can see the chakra network connecting all living things, understands on a fundamental level that everyone is connected. This perception deepens his belief in protecting everyone, in never giving up on people. When he encounters villains, enemies, people consumed by hatred, he can see the chakra fluctuations that indicate their emotional states. He understands their pain on a level impossible for normal shinobi. This makes him more effective at talking no jutsu, his infamous ability to change people's minds through conversation. It's not just words anymore. It's words backed by genuine understanding and empathy, enhanced by the jutsu that sees souls. The relationship with Kurama evolves too. The Ninetales, initially wary of the Rinnegan because Madara used it to enslave him, comes to appreciate Naruto's different approach. Despite having the power to completely control the Biju, Naruto never uses it. He asks, negotiates, treats Kurama as a partner. This earns the Foxes genuine respect and friendship earlier than in the original timeline. Their perfect synchronization, their complete trust, creates a partnership that surpasses even Killer Bee and Yuki's legendary cooperation. When they fight together, it's not a Jinchuriki using a tailed beast's power. It's two friends combining their strengths seamlessly. Naruto's training continues even after the war. He seeks out every Uzumaki sealing technique, every scrap of information about the Rinnegan, every ancient scroll about the Sage of Six Paths. He discovers that the Rinnegan has abilities beyond the Six Paths. In extremely rare circumstances, a Rinnegan user can develop unique personal abilities, techniques that reflect their nature and experiences. Sasuke's Rinnegan eventually develops the ability to swap places with objects, a space-time technique. Naruto's develops something different, something that reflects his core being. He gains the ability to temporarily share his chakra and perception with others, creating a network where everyone connected can see what he sees, feel what he feels, understand what he understands. It's a technique that embodies his desire for mutual understanding, for empathy and connection. When he uses this ability during a tense negotiation between villages on the brink of war, linking everyone in the room together, forcing them to feel each other's perspectives and pain and hopes, the conflict dissolves. You can't easily hate someone when you've experienced their life through their eyes, felt their love for their families, understood their fears and dreams. It's not mind control. Everyone retains their sense of self, their free will. But the barriers between people, the misunderstandings that fuel conflict, they crumble under the weight of genuine understanding. This technique becomes Naruto's greatest contribution to peace, more impactful than any battle he wins. The next generation grows up in a very different world. Children hear stories about Naruto Uzumaki, the boy with demon eyes and a demon fox who saved everyone. Some fear him, intimidated by the legends of his power. Others idolize him, wanting to awaken their own legendary abilities. Naruto handles both reactions with characteristic humility and kindness. He makes himself accessible, trains young shinobi personally, and always emphasizes that power means nothing without the will to protect others. His students, including his own children when he eventually has them, learn not just techniques but philosophy, not just how to fight but why you fight. His relationship with Hinata develops differently too. She's attracted not just to his determination and kindness, but also to the wisdom he's gained from bearing the Rinnegan. Their courtship is gentler, more mature, because Naruto understands emotions on a deeper level now. He can see the chakra fluctuations that indicate Hinata's feelings, though he's careful never to invade her privacy by reading too deep. When he proposes, it's with full knowledge of the life he's offering her. A life beside someone who will always be called to protect others, who bears power that makes him a target, who sees too much and carries too many burdens. She accepts without hesitation, and their marriage becomes another symbol of the new era's stability. But the Rinnegan comes with costs that become apparent over time. Naruto experiences visions, flashbacks to previous users' lives. He sees glimpses of Hagoromo's battles with Hamura against their mother. He feels echoes of Nagato's pain every time he uses certain techniques. The Dojutsu doesn't just grant power, it carries memory, consciousness, the weight of everyone who's ever borne these eyes. There are nights when Naruto wakes up confused about whether he's himself or someone from 1,000 years ago. Hinata learns to recognize these episodes, to ground him in the present, to remind him who he is beneath the legendary power. The other villagers' reactions to Naruto's Rinnegan create interesting political dynamics. The Reikage respects strength and acknowledges Naruto as a legitimate powerhouse, deserving of consideration. The Mizukage, having experienced the terror of being controlled by a Sharingan user, is initially wary but comes to trust Naruto's different approach. The Tsuchikage, ancient and pragmatic, sees Naruto as the ultimate deterrent against war. Why fight when one person could destroy your entire military? The Kazekage, Gaara, becomes Naruto's closest friend and ally, two Jinchuriki who transcended their demons. Gaara, who understands loneliness and transformation, sees past the terrifying eyes to the kind heart beneath. As Hokage, which Naruto eventually becomes when he's matured enough for the responsibility, his administration is revolutionary. He uses shadow clones, a technique he's perfected to an absurd degree, to maintain presence in the village while his real body handles external threats. He uses the Rinnegan's perception to identify corruption, to see through lies during negotiations, to understand the truth of situations without lengthy investigations. His justice is fair but firm, compassionate but not weak. People learn quickly that you can't hide malice or deception from someone who can literally see your chakras' emotional resonance. The question of whether Naruto should have children becomes a major political issue. The prospect of an Uzumaki Hyuga child who might inherit both Rinnegan and Byakugan makes some people nervous. What if they're unstable? What if they're even more powerful than Naruto? What if they lack his moral compass? Naruto addresses these concerns publicly, explaining that he and Hinata will raise any children to understand that power is a responsibility, not a privilege. When Boruto is born, the entire shinobi world watches nervously to see what abilities he manifests. Himawari's birth receives similar attention. The pressure on these children to live up to their father's legacy, while also being seen as potential threats, shapes their childhoods in complex ways. Naruto's influence extends to how the shinobi world views Jinchuriki and Dojutsu users. He proves that immense power doesn't have to corrupt, that someone can bear the weight of legendary abilities and remain fundamentally good. This changes how villages treat their own Jinchuriki and Kekkei Genkai users. Instead of fear and isolation, there's investment in training and integration. The next generation of Jinchuriki grow up hearing about Naruto as an example, not a cautionary tale. Kids born with Sharingan or Byakugan are taught about Naruto who had something even more powerful and chose kindness anyway. The lingering Otsutsuki threat becomes Naruto's long-term challenge. With Kaguya sealed but not destroyed, with hints of other Otsutsuki clan members existing beyond the stars, Naruto prepares for eventual conflict. He trains a new generation, not just in technique, but in the philosophy needed to face enemies who see humans as nothing more than chakra sources. He establishes protocols, seals, and defense systems around the world. His Rinnegan allows him to detect spatial distortions, giving warning if another Otsutsuki tries to arrive. This vigilance becomes his unending duty, the price of peace. The relationship between Naruto and Sasuke as adults with their rivalry settled is fascinating. They're brothers in all but blood, equals in power, different in approach, but united in purpose. They spar regularly, testing new techniques against each other in battles that would terrify any observer. They cover each other's weaknesses. Naruto handles situations requiring diplomacy and understanding. Sasuke handles operations requiring stealth and ruthless efficiency. Their children grow up as cousins, practically. Boruto and Sarada learning from both fathers. The next generation inherits not just power, but partnership, the understanding that they're stronger together than separate. Naruto's Rinnegan techniques evolve over decades of use. He develops variations of classic abilities, innovations that previous users never imagined. His version of Chibaku Tensei can be calibrated precisely, creating prisons that contain without crushing, barriers that protect without restricting. His animal path summons develop personalities, becoming partners rather than tools. His Preta path becomes so refined he can absorb jutsu and immediately redirect them, turning enemy techniques into counterattacks. Every ability is perfected through practice and enhanced by his massive chakra reserves and Kurama's cooperation. The great Toad Sage's prophecy about the child who would change the world proves accurate, but in unexpected ways. Naruto doesn't bring change through destruction or through unifying the world under one rule. He brings it through example, through demonstrating that power and kindness can coexist, that understanding is possible even in a world of hatred. The Rinnegan, which could have made him a god-king ruling through fear, instead becomes a tool for empathy. This irony, that the eyes of God serve human connection, becomes the defining characteristic of Naruto's legacy. As Naruto ages, he becomes a living legend, the Rinnegan sage, the tailed protector, the seventh Hokage who never knew defeat. Children who never experienced the warring era grow up in peace. Unable to imagine the horrors their parents survived, they take for granted the stability that Naruto and his generation fought desperately to create. When Naruto retires from active Hokage duties, passing the mantle to the next generation, he doesn't disappear. He becomes an advisor, a final line of defense, the person everyone knows will respond if the unthinkable happens. His final years are spent teaching, writing, preserving knowledge for future generations. He documents everything about the Rinnegan, creating scrolls that future users might reference if the eyes ever awaken again. He works with Sasuke to create a comprehensive history of the Uchiha, Senju, and Uzumaki clans, ensuring their legacies are remembered accurately. They establish an archive, a neutral location where all villages contribute their knowledge, creating a shared repository that benefits everyone. This archive becomes one of Naruto's greatest achievements, a symbol of the cooperation and mutual benefit that defines his era. The Rinnegan's presence in Naruto's life is ultimately about choice. He could have chosen to dominate, to rule, to impose his will on the world. The power was there. Instead, he chose to protect, to understand, to lift others up. This choice, repeated daily throughout his life, defines what the Rinnegan means in his hands. It's not about being above others. It's about seeing everyone clearly and choosing to value them all anyway. That's the real power of the Rinnegan in Naruto's possession. Not the jutsu, not the abilities, but the perspective it gives him and what he chooses to do with that perspective. When people ask Naruto about his eyes, about what it's like to see the world through the Rinnegan, he struggles to explain. How do you describe perceiving chakra as living light? How do you convey the sensation of seeing someone's soul and understanding their deepest pain? How do you express the loneliness of knowing that no one else perceives reality quite the way you do? But he always ends with the same sentiment. The Rinnegan showed him that everyone is connected, that we're all part of the same vast network of life and energy. If people could see what he sees, really see it, hatred would become impossible. So he uses his power to bridge that gap. to help people understand each other, even without sharing his vision. In the end, the alternate timeline where Naruto awakens the Rinnegan early is a story about what happens when immense power meets unconquerable kindness. It's about a world that could have fallen to tyranny being saved by someone who refused to let power change his core values. It's about eyes that have seen gods and demons choosing to see the humanity in everyone. It's about Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who wanted to be acknowledged, becoming someone the entire world acknowledges, not because they fear him, but because they trust him. That's the true answer to what if Naruto awakened the Rinnegan early. The world becomes not a place of enforced peace through power, but a place of genuine peace through understanding. And that makes all the difference. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through an alternate timeline. If you enjoyed this deep dive into what could have been, make sure that subscribe button is hit, notifications are on, and drop a comment with your favorite moment from this story. Would you want Naruto to have the Rinnegan, or do you prefer his original path? Let me know. Until next time, rest well, dream of shinobi adventures, and remember that true power lies not in the eyes you're given, but in how you choose to see the world. Good night, and sweet dreams.